This is a cool article I found. It's about a find in California, and it's one of the largest finds of ancient fossils since the 40s. I think 1947, it says, was the last very large California fossil find. I was looking at the bones of great beasts, astounding discovery made in California Valley. It started with a petrified tree, half buried in the mud in the Mokelumne River watershed in the Sierra Nevadas foothills. The site intrigued Greg Franchek, a ranger in East Bay Municipal Utility District, as he was walking the valley last summer. He inspected further, and what he discovered led to one of the most significant fossil discoveries in California history. And this is a quote from him. I looked around the area further and found a second tree, and then a third, and so on. After finding dozens of trees, I realized that what I was looking at was the remains of a petrified forest. Petrified wood comes from trees that were buried in the fine-grained sediments of deltas, floodplains, or volcanic ash beds, and turned to stone over millions of years. After 3 weeks of surveying the site, Franchek made an even more curious discovery. Quote, I located the first vertebrate fossils, and what I didn't comprehend at the time was the amazing fact that I was looking at the bones of great beasts that had roamed this landscape millions of years ago. Franchek reached out to experts in paleontology and geology from across the country to come and inspect the bones, and they're still there today making historic finds. These great beasts include mastodons, which are elephant-like creatures with unique teeth. The name means nipple tooth.
Nice. That was my nickname in high school.
I knew you were going to say that. Gomphithers. Let's go with Gomphithers. Ancestral elephants, but with 4 tusks, which I believe is here. Yep. Well, says it's of a mastodon, but I think this is more of the Gomphithers. And then, incredibly, 400-pound salmon with spiked teeth, among others, still to be identified. They even found camel fossils. The bones are thought to be from the Miocene era, around 10 million years ago. The site, the Mokelumne River watershed, is where some 1.4 million Bay Area residents get their drinking water. EBMUD has owned and managed 28,000 acres of watershed land there for a century. The discovery is highly significant because of both the sheer number and diversity of specimens found. Few other fossil discoveries like this exist in California, said Dr. Russell Shapiro of the Chico State Department of Geological and Environmental Sciences in a statement. The bones paint a clearer picture of life 10 million years ago, when animals evolved from living in forests to grassland as the landscape changed. Mastodon remains were last found in California by the agency in 1947 during pipeline construction in the Contra Costa County. But the current trove of fossils is the largest and most diverse in the state's history. Since this is one of the more significant paleontological finds in California, researchers still have a lot of questions, like why are all these fossils in this location? How did they die? What happened and when? Researchers wrote. The study of the site may take years. So it's pretty cool. That last word, paleontological. Paleontological. There it is. Paleontological. Yes. Anyway, that's a fun word. Anyway, I was looking into like mastodons, and I was like, this is really amazing. Like, what is a mastodon versus a woolly mammoth?
Right.
You know, like I thought it was woolly mammoths that were here, not mastodons. And I'm like, what is the difference? And I found a website that kind of basically just points out the difference between what is a mastodon and what is a mammoth, because they're very similar. Despite the superficial resemblance, mastodons were distinct from mammoths. So a mastodon were shorter and stockier than mammoths, with shorter, straighter tusks. Mastodons were wood browsers, and their molars have pointed cones specifically adapted for eating woody browse. Mammoths were grazers. Their molars have flat surfaces for eating grass. So you can see this person's actually holding, this is a mastodon molar that's some serious pointy teeth versus the woolly mammoth molar. So you can see they were completely different teeth set, and their tusks were completely different. Now here on the left is a mastodon tusk, where here is a woolly mammoth. So woolly mammoths really had that like curved, hooking, you think of a woolly mammoth.
Look.
Well, the saber tooth is down.
Oh, yeah. I was
woolly
thinking
mammoths
the
are like the curve that kind of come up.
Yeah.
But mastodons are just like straight out.
That's wild.
So very distinct differences there. I thought that was pretty cool. Recent evidence suggests that mastodon inhabited Beringia during a previously warmer episode or interglacial when there were trees or shrubs, probably 75,000 greater or more than 75,000 years ago, along with Jefferson's giant ground sloth, giant beaver, western camel, which is probably what they found in California there, and even peccary, which are basically pigs, just it's like boars, ancient boars.
Right on.
Another species adapted to warmer woodland environments. Mastodons and woolly mammoths overlapped in Beringia during the early to mid Pleistocene, with mastodons thriving in the warmer interglacial periods and mammoth favoring the colder glacial epochs. Mammoths survived in eastern Beringia until at least 13,000 years ago, while the very last mammoths of Alaska appeared to have survived the Pribilof Islands until 6,000 to 8,000 years ago. The very last woolly mammoths lived in northern Siberia on Wrangel Island until about 4,000 years ago. Oh, that's cool. That's way less than I thought. I thought it was like 10,000 years was the last woolly mammoth, but 4,000 years ago. That's pretty cool. And then here is more of an artistic drawing. You got the mastodons on the left, much more straight tusks, shorter. And then the woolly mammoths were much taller.
Kind of has a rhino feel to it.
This guy over here?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I could see that. A little more of like a rhino, because the shoulders.
Just
like
the build.
The back end here. Yeah, I see that. It's interesting. And then I checked it out. This is the, so that 400-pound salmon. Dude. I found an article that kind of showed like what it would look like. And it turns out they use these teeth for fighting and to defend against anything trying to eat their eggs. So they didn't use it for eating. They just ate plankton like salmon today. They just swim around eating plankton and stuff. But so they didn't use these teeth, which were about an inch long, which is pretty crazy to think. I mean, a 400-pound fish with inch-long teeth could probably kill you.
Yeah.
Could probably rip you apart.
Right.
And I'm sure they did.
The teeth that were in my head were like some that iteration of It where like his teeth are like coming out of the front of his face.
I've never actually seen It.
I haven't either. I have I'm terrified of clowns.
Are you?
Why are you painted? You got to paint your face to make kids smile? What are you doing? It's creepy.
I know what Pennywise looks like.
Okay,
but,
just picture like my fingers being teeth and like just like gnarly, like sticking up. That's what I would picture.
Like the deep.
But then you were
sea,
like, they
the
just have like inch teeth.
Well, and
I'm not as scared.
According to these pictures, it's like they only had one on either side, kind of like
sheep head.
Maybe like a little bit here.
You ever seen those?
Yeah. Exactly. So interesting stuff.